Alright, I have a Black & Decker spotlight, and when you hit the trigger, it doesn't light up, and when you hit this button up here for the LEDs, nothing. Got a red light up there, but that's it. Now, I've had about 2 others like this. One was a black one, and I took apart one of them and actually added distilled water and Epsom salt to it. And these are, I don't know if it'll focus here, sealed lead acid batteries. And they're like AGM batteries. You're not supposed to add anything to them because they have a, well, like glass mat, pretty much. I forget what the A stands for AGM, but they have the acid and the distilled water in like a glass mat, so if it tips over or anything, it doesn't leak out. But you can remove this cap here, and you can add distilled water, acid, or whatever you want to it, because these are dry anyway, and that's why they fail prematurely. It should last a lot longer. I mean, this is brand new. It's probably, a few months old. And you can return these to Black & Decker and they will replace it. But now they want you to pay shipping, which is, it's only like 10 or 15 bucks. But these things, they only last for a few months and the batteries go dry and there's just no use for them. You can't use them after that. So what I found out is that you could just take the batteries out of these and add distilled water to them, and you can take some electrolyte or whatever out of your car battery and put a few drops in it if you want. But it doesn't matter, just as long as you have some sort of liquid in there. This one over here, that one was just completely shot. I added liquid to it, charged it overnight, and it had 12 volts, and then all of a sudden it developed a bad cell. But I actually got it to light up, and it would stay on for, 5 to 6 minutes before going completely dead. So, and it was really bright, but it only held like 10 volts after that. But I want to try this one, and see what happens. And to get this apart, there's this rubber piece here. Well, let's see if I can't set you up over here. These are kind of pain in the ass to get off. Alright. Now you're left with 2 screws here and 2 there, and this bar here will come off. screw here, side here, and 2 in the handles, and then 2 on the back side. Yeah, you're seeing that okay, I think. Yeah. Alright. Now for this, I'm going to use a different screwdriver. Oh, and you also need to take the lens off too. And what you'll have to do to get this completely out, because you're going to have to take this piece off. It kind of sucks how they made this, but you have to pry that up. Pry the LED panel. I want to get me one of them little camera tripods. Wow, that's really zoomed in. Jeez. They're only like $5 on eBay. Probably made in China, but whatever. Come on now. Kind of hard to do with one hand. Yeah. And then you got some bolts down here. It holds this charger on. That'll have to come off too. Might bend up out of the way. No, don't want a chance breaking it. Alright, set that aside, and then pull this cover off. Alright. Now you gotta take your lens off. And try not to touch the inside of that or the bulb anywhere, because this gets really hot, and then you'll have like a burning smell, and it could crack the light bulb if any of the oil from your fingers gets on it or whatever. Now that I think can just hang in there. Now there is a rubber seal in here. When you go to put that lens back on, make sure this rubber seal is in its right spot, or else you'll never get this back on right. Oh, and you got some under that plastic shield. There's the battery. It's just right there. I'll focus. There we go. And this is a fuse. If you want, you can check that. If you have absolutely no power going into it, no lights, no nothing, it's probably that fuse. And here's the battery. Same thing, 12 volt, 3 amp hour. Let's test the voltage. Kind of hard with one hand. Well, I got about 10 volts. But it's probably no amps whatsoever, because it's not even lighting up the LEDs or anything. So we probably got a dead cell on this one too, because this one over here that I tried salvaging is like 10 volts, but it has a lot more amps than what it did. 10.83, but I mean, it'll light this light up really bright. So the charger's only at 500 milliamp, but this is a float charger. So what you're supposed to do with these batteries, you're never supposed to let a lead acid battery go below 12 volts, or like 12 point, I think it's like 12.6 or something, because then it starts to deplete after that. So you never want to deplete them until they're completely dead. But I've had this on the charger for 3 days straight and nothing. Let's see if we can't pop that open, and I'll show you how to fill it. You'll see a little notch right there. That's where you want to pry. Alright, this is what it looks like on the inside here. And you can see how they're kind of sucked in. That one wasn't even all the way down. That's probably the bad cell right there. Bad cell on this, that other one is like one of the two middle ones, I can't remember. So, careful when you take these up, because it could, my battery level's too low on my phone. But anyway, you get the idea. Just be careful how you take these off, because it could splash, acid in your eyes or whatever. But just use like an eyedropper and just fill them up to the tops here until there's liquid coming out. And then go ahead and take your motherboard out of here, or you could just leave it in there like that, and then just set the battery like on its side, well, actually you have to keep them straight up and leave the caps off of them after you get it filled, and so it doesn't spill over. But these have nothing in them. I'll take the caps off here. And they have literally nothing. And you can't even hear nothing in them. But yeah, just take an eyedropper and just put some distilled water, and you can mix in some Epsom salt if you want. But distilled water, or you could take some electrolyte or acid or whatever from your car battery and just drop it in here. Just a few drops of that, though. I would put just distilled water in it. And then give it an overnight charge with its original charger. And you should get it back up to where you can actually use the spotlight for, 5 or 10 minutes. But like I said, the guy from the tech support or whatever that I called said these spotlights are only supposed to last 15 to 20 minutes. And this is actually a float charger, and these spotlights are pretty much like for emergency. So you always want to keep them on the charger all the time. Or at least, a couple days out of the week. But for the most part, you can just leave them charged up. Indefinitely, because that's a float charger. It'll never overcharge it or anything. So. But yeah, that's how you add water to them kind. One thing I forgot to mention about charging the battery is after you have it fully charged, like overnight, with its original charger, go ahead and use your eyedropper or whatever you used and suck some of the fluid out of the cells. At least enough that it's just barely covering the plates. Because when you put your caps back on, and then whenever you charge it or use it, it'll create gas, and it'll spill out. So you don't ever want to add too much. I got it charged up overnight, and sealed off, put the cap back on, put tape back on around it, or you can use super glue and just, super glue it all together. But here's the switch. Here we go. There it is. That's pretty bright too. That's just by adding distilled water and Epsom salt mixed together. You just boil the distilled water and stir in, a couple tablespoons of Epsom salt. Use an eyedropper, fill it completely full, and let it charge overnight. And then suck some of the fluid out of there so it doesn't spill over. Put your caps back on, and you're good to go.